No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Justice.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
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 Fist bump the person next to you, tell them you love.
Never give up and never give in. A change will come. Keep faith and resist. Troubles and trials won't last always. With God on our side, nothing will pride today. Oh Lord, be strong. A better day is coming and it won't be too long. Yeah, change will come. Change will come. Change will come. Money will come. Your change will come. Your change will come. Money will come. Your change will come. Your change will come. Never give up and never give in. Change will come. Keep faith and resist. Troubles and trials won't last always. With God on our side, nothing will pride today. Oh Lord, be strong. A better day is coming and it won't be too long. Yeah, change will come. Change will come. Change will come.
Years ago, when some of us came to Harlem, many of us living in Brooklyn and around, came to Harlem and started National Action Network at PS 175 on 34th Street. And there was the gathering, and Attorney Michael Hardy, who was with us from the beginning as one of our co-founders and general counsel, said we needed 5 people to sign to incorporate the organization.
Yes.
We were being attacked by someone that was on the side of Bernie Getz and Rudy Giuliani, saying that we were fermenting crime and he was fighting crime. And 30 years later, one of the ones that signed to incorporate us is a former black policeman named Eric Adams. And on Tuesday night, according to all polls, he's gonna beat the guy that used to attack us 30 years ago, Sliwa was a hero in town. And Eric was on the beat. But 30 years later, man signed National Action Network papers and believed if you kept on fighting, your change will come.
Your change will come. Your change is gonna come. Do you believe it? Your change will come. Your change is gonna come. Oh, change will come.
After Abraham Lincoln had signed the Emancipation Proclamation, he was killed sitting in a theater, booth theater, I believe. And the Vice President of the United States took over. And many things that Lincoln had promised, and many things that they had started with the Reconstruction era, the Vice President, Andrew Johnson, began revoking and changing what Lincoln had said. So we went from a reluctant Lincoln who let us go and promised us certain things in Reconstruction to a Vice President Johnson that made deals and cut back on everything we wanted. But if you keep on fighting, don't believe me, Monday night at Carnegie Hall, there is a new Vice President who is a black woman that understands what racism is. Had our ancestors gave up, we would have never seen a Vice President of color or woman. But they must have known, no matter how hard it seems, if you hold on and keep fighting, your change will come. Your change will come. National Action Network, change ensemble. Give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Certainly we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally. For you that are here live in the auditorium at the House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the village of Harlem. And you that are listening live on 1190 WLIB AM in New York, and you that are watching us on various platforms around the country, we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning to give our report on where the action is. Give a hand to our presider, Attorney Michael Hardy. Our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson. And our drummer, get a drummer some, Chris Dodd. And certainly did not we enjoy our inspirational speaker, the pastor of New Hope Baptist Church in New Jersey, and as well as our regional director of National Action Network, the Reverend Steffi Bartlett. I said, Bartlett kind of tuned up on us this morning, too. I knew he could speak at rallies. I didn't know he got that little grunting tune. And Buster gave Tyrone $20 because he started playing that riff in there with him. Tyrone don't do that for me. I got to learn how to tip them. He had musical accompaniment. Give another hand, Reverend Bartlett. Let me echo what has been said by our New York City Chapter Vice President, Alvin Ponder, and that is that today is the last day that you can call in and get tickets for Monday night. They're all free, but you have to have a ticket. And because we had such overwhelming response, we were able to add some seats. But so you can call now or today till 6 o'clock, get your tickets. It's free. You have to establish that you're vaccinated to get in Carnegie Hall. That's their rules. That's the rules of all halls in the city. But other than that, you don't have to pay anything, but you have to have a ticket. This is not one of them this is not where you come to church, walk down the aisle, and say move over. No, it ain't no moving over. You have to have a ticket and a seat. And we want all of you that can to come. That's why we added seats. You can call at 1-877-626-4646. 4651, 1-877-626-4651. And you can call right now. People are at the phones, can take your names and put your tickets aside so you can pick them up here or at Carnegie Hall. But we have tickets for everybody. There are tickets being distributed here today and tomorrow. Here being at the House of Justice, 145th and Lenox. And it's going to be a great night. Our 30th anniversary, Vice President Harris is speaking. Many of our other dignitaries speaking to celebrate 30 years of struggle. And we're honoring also, as mentioned, the Hazel Dukes is going to be honored that night, who's been a stalwart with this organization from the beginning of our organization. As State President NAACP, we're honoring Lorne Michaels, one of the cast of Saturday Night Live is going to present that award. Marva Smalls, who is one of the senior executives at Viacom, their own BET and all. She's been a big supporter of ours. We're also honoring Terrence Blanchard, who is the first black to compose and direct at the Met. And he's going to be there. He's going to be there, and Spike Lee will be there to give him his award. So you're going to want to be there that night. But you should just want to, I didn't announce none of this till week before last, because I wanted everybody there to honor National Action Network's 30 years. We were already at capacity 2 weeks ago before I ever told anybody about Kamala Harris. I wanted people to come honor 30 years. For 30 years, let me tell you something. 30 years ago, when we headed to Harlem to start NAN, and the reason we could go in PS 175 is because some of the activists in Harlem, Teresa Freeman and Beverly Austin, arranged with the local school board that we could use the school auditorium on Saturdays. Both of them have passed. And we started every Saturday morning. The school board allowed it, and the city didn't stop us because the mayor at that time, in '91, was David Dinkins. And they allowed us to do it. When Giuliani got in '94, he got elected in '93, took off in '94, they kicked us out. But sometimes, yeah, the school said we couldn't use the school no more. But sometimes your curse can be a blessing, because that's why we got kicked out and opened the House of Justice. But when we came to Harlem, we were in the midst of a fight in Bensonhurst section of Brooklyn, where a young 16-year-old young man named Yusef Hawkins had gone to Bensonhurst by accident. They have it, some of y'all that live stream can see the documentary of Yusef Hawkins. He was going with some of his friends. One of his friends wanted to buy a used car, and they were going to Coney Island. And they took the train from East New York to Coney Island, and they got off the wrong stop and got off in Bensonhurst. And when they got off, there was this group of white kids that said, we don't allow ends in the neighborhood. And they asked him what he was doing there. And one of them said, yeah, one of these ends is supposed to be dating one of the girls here. And they went and got bats and chased them and shot and killed Yusef Hawkins. Let's welcome our Impact Television family watching. So they shot Yusef Hawkins in 1989. By the time we got to 91, they had not rounded up all of the mob that killed Yusef. It was in that atmosphere that we founded National Action Network. A lot of y'all just need to know the history. We started NAN fighting a racial justice case, going out to Bensonhurst every Saturday marching. In fact, one of those Saturdays, January 12th, the beginning of that year, is when a white man stabbed me in my chest and tried to kill me at one of those marches. That was how we started. 30 years later, we are fighting for the George Floyds and the Breonna Taylor. And I was just down last week in Georgia with the parents of Ahmaud Arbery. We started fighting racism. 30 years later, we still fighting racism, and we won't stop until we stop racism in this country. So then to celebrate is also to tell us how far we got to go. People talk about nothing's changed. Well, some things have changed. And the things that have changed because there have been some change makers. As Alvin announced this morning, I've got a new book coming out called Righteous Troublemakers. One of them is the story of Claudette Colvin, who sat on the bus, front of the bus in Montgomery before Rosa Parks and never got the recognition because they said we can't push her out there. She got little things in her private life and she's not light-skinned. Oh yeah, y'all need to read my book. It'll be out about a month or so. You pre-order now. They wanted someone light-skinned. Don't be looking shocked. Some of you old folk in here know that we had to deal with racism and colorism. Some of y'all used to tell your daughters, go get a light-skinned boyfriend. Somebody said they're still doing that. But Claudette Colvin will be on my show, Politics Nation, with Al Sharpton, 5 o'clock today. She's fighting. She was arrested on the bus. She's fighting to get her record expunged. I'm telling her story and other stories about people that didn't get the recognition but fought the fight. So make sure you watch her in Politics Nation, MSNBC live at 5 today and live at 5 tomorrow. I'm going to be dealing with a lot of these issues around this whole breakdown of what Biden and them are doing with this fight around Build Back Better. Let me also say that on yesterday, I was in Richmond, Virginia. I want to get this out there while our Impact audience is with us. Because a lot of us get, in my opinion, confused. There is well, let me put it this, let me set it up this way. About 25 years ago, there was a businessman in Detroit, Michigan, named Don Barden, B-A-R-D-E-N. And Barden wanted to build in Detroit a casino resort. He tried to get a referendum in the city, and he got Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson and me to come in and campaign. And he was not able to get the referendum passed. Stevie and Michael and I went all over Detroit for him one day. Yesterday, I went to Richmond because the owners of TV One and Radio One, Kathy Hughes, and her son have been designated to have a casino resort in Richmond. But they must pass the referendum. And that's on the ballot on Tuesday. And their plan is not only to have a casino, but 15 restaurants, a 4-star hotel. They will provide 5,000 jobs, $500 billion in tax revenue, $500 billion in tax revenue. All of this coming to Richmond. So there was many people in the city are supporting it. National Action. There was chapter there, NAACP chapter there, and others. And some of the ministers said, well, we against gambling. And I said, fine, let me come and have a luncheon with the ministers. So we came yesterday, and I met with some of them and about 150 other community people. And I said that what y'all can't do, National Action Network has taken this position. This ain't a personal position for me. National Action Network took this position. And so has the NAACP and others. And Terry McAuliffe, who's running for governor again, he's supporting it. And others are supporting it. It's not that we are endorsing gambling. I go to Las Vegas and Atlantic City and don't gamble. I go see the shows. I go to, because you can have conventions there. Nobody is endorsing gambling, but don't have selective salvation. Some of y'all got this portable. I heard Steffi talking about all, the food and all that stuff we used to have on welfare. But we used to have portable furniture. Yes, sir. That you'd have to move around. The chair was also your kitchen table, was also your TV stand. Did everything. Same object, according to what company was coming, where we was gonna set it up. And some of y'all got that portable religion. Y'all against casinos, but play the lotto. Y'all against casinos, but they got online betting right now. Y'all didn't say nothing about them legalizing enrichment reefer. Hello. But when some black folks gonna build a casino and resort, they'll bring thousands of jobs and say the construction jobs must go to black. All of a sudden you got the Holy Ghost. Or you working for a ghost we ain't seen. I just thought I'd bring that up. So, and my thing is, you don't have to gamble because a casino's there. And the tragedy, Reverend Bartley, is that they would not let Don Barton, this black businessman, build the casino in Detroit. Referendum didn't pass. Every time I go to Detroit now, they sign, give me a suite in the MGM Grand Casino. Same folk that fought the black man didn't fight the big white casino interest coming into Detroit. And Detroit has got a high percentage of blacks than Richmond. Because they are going to deal with business interests. Reverend Bartley is our regional director and heads of New Jersey now. We have a chapter in Atlantic City. We're in Atlantic City all the time. We don't go gambling. I wouldn't know what I don't even hit a slot machine. But I'm going to be where there is good rooms. I might stay in a hotel. I say the MGM Grand Casino in Detroit. If you hit the lobby, if you go one way, you go in the casino. If you go another way, you're going outside. I go outside. But I want my room. Yes, sir. So let's not get so twisted. The same thing that, one of the things that has always concerned and bothered me is people that are rigid with their religion or their activism. What I mean by that, Reverend Toon, is you got to practice religion strictly your way or you ain't saved. Or you got to do activism strictly your way or you ain't woke. I don't believe people had a right to tell you how to worship God or how to do your activism. Everybody ain't got to holler and scream the way you do. That's right. And everybody don't have to worship the way you do. Some folk like to be expressive in their worship. Some folk like to be quiet in their worship. As long as they worship, they're not worshiping you, they're worshiping God. Sit down and shut up and let them worship. And those of us that are expressive, we got reason to be expressive. Because if you went through what some of us went through, you're going to be loud about thanking God on Sunday. I don't apologize for being loud and hooping and hollering. If you've been through the stuff I've been through, you scream in the middle of the night. Many times they tried to take me out. I wake up in the middle of the night, go to the bathroom and run around the bed and shout. Because I found out I'm still alive. Now, if you done had a smooth, easy life, and, you know, never had no problem, rent was paid, mortgage was paid, light bill paid, all that, then anthem you will do on Sunday morning. Bless me, the tide that binds. That's all cool, because you done had a cool life. But if you done faced eviction notices, had lights cut out and had to do your homework by candlelight, had to stand in line to get food stamps, and go to the supermarket and try to hide them from your friends, and somehow God brought you through that, you might want to holler on Sunday morning and throw your hand up and run up and down the aisle, because you've been through something. And it don't make me unsophisticated, is that you're not sophisticated enough to understand my journey. Yes, sir. So I want us to deal with these issues. And the two things, and I'm going to get into my message for today. We're kicking off our weekend of 30 years of National Action Network. One is they started the proceedings into the trial of this young white male in Kenosha, Wisconsin, called Rittenhouse. And Rittenhouse, you may recall, when the police came with a call in Kenosha for a suspect named Michael Blake Jr. Michael Blake Jr. was supposed to be in a dispute with his girlfriend, left the house when the police came, went around the car on video, his two kids in the car, and they shot him in the back 7 times on camera. They would not indict the cops. Many of you remember Michael Blake Sr., his daddy, was at our march on Washington and been at other rallies. While the community reacted to Jacob Blake Jr. being shot 7 times in the back, saying that could have been any one of them, some of the young folk in Kenosha got angry and started looting and having riots. Then others came in and exacerbated that. A young white boy comes from another state, across state lines, into Kenosha, saying he's coming to help protect the businesses in Kenosha, and walked up the street with an open AK-47 and shot 3 people, killing 2 and wounding the other. A judge in Kenosha said this week that the prosecutor who's prosecuting this young boy, Rittenhouse, the young white with the rifle, that the prosecutor could not call the dead victims. You can't use the term victim because that will prejudice the jury. So the word victim can't be used at trial. Yet the defense can talk about anarchists and disruptors. So they're already stacking the deck. If you are at a protest or just in town to protest, because this happened when the protest was over, and somebody shoots you and kills you, if that ain't a victim, I don't know what is. But this is the climate that we're living in. Secondly, and a lot of this got passed. I talked about this on Politics Nation. That's why y'all need to watch it Saturday and Sunday. It's raining in New York, so a lot of y'all be inside tonight watching. Y'all get beach weather, y'all be laying out at the beach trying to tan your tan. Last week I brought up, they have now established in Minneapolis, after the George Floyd killing, I talked to Florence Floyd this morning, that if you all remember, they burned down a police station.
Oh, yeah.
They now found out that it was some white right-wingers that came to Minneapolis to act as the one that they had the mask on and all that they had named him was a right white winger who came to purposely distort what the George Floyd movement was about. They've identified him. I keep telling you, everybody that is acting super revolutionary could be a setup to exacerbate you into doing something to discredit the movement. Anytime you get these black show at the rallies, and they be carrying on and raising all kind of stuff that ain't nobody raising, and you ain't never seen them before, they may not be on your side. They proved the violence there was done by, and have identified the guys. So be careful of being provoked, because they will infiltrate and provoke you, so the story will be your violence rather than their murder. Happened in Ferguson. We ain't been out here 30 years and haven't learned nothing. They will purposely seek to try and distort and turn around our movement. Now, in the same light, let's go to Eric Garner. Give a hand, Gwen Carr, Eric's brother. Gwen Carr and the Garner family said that they do not want to stop with the firing of Pantiello. They want everybody involved in all the minutes and everything that was done. Is that right? That's right. And the inquiry is all the police, all of those that work the EMS, all the ambulance, and the folks at City Hall and the police department. Want all the records, everything. Everybody. Want to know everybody. How do you have a situation like this and nobody involved but one guy got fired who never was prosecuted? And now their lawyer happens to be the new DA of Manhattan. Alvin Bragg is the lawyer on this case. And he's got one of the policemen in the inquiry to admit that he distorted in filing and reporting on Eric's death, that he distorted what he wrote. Outright lied in the police report. Said it was a mistake. Said that he made a mistake. Another one said that he saw from 350 feet away Eric selling cigarettes. Now, unless he is Superman or Clark Kent. This is the kind of stuff that's going down. And they wonder why we're fighting in the courts about police reform and want Senate bills passed on police reform, because they sit up and lie with a badge on their chest. That's why we came out talking about, wait a minute, all this stuff about banning certain cigarettes. Let's first deal with the criminal justice part there. Oh, y'all saying that because cigarette companies come to your events. No, a lot of folk come to our events, I don't say nothing. But Eric Garner's case told me y'all use Lucy's in our community as an excuse to criminalize us and abuse us. You don't do that. I just never understood, if you against smoking and want to ban smoking, but ban all the smoking. Why you gonna ban the stuff we smoke, but in white neighborhood they can smoke Marlboros? Because you know the Marlboro man is a different kind of politics. I'm apologizing for that. Now, it brings us right back into where we are in these battles in Washington. Biden has proposed now a $1.75 trillion Build Back Better and an infrastructure bill. If it passes, and I think the progressives have shown a lot of maturity and sophistication by giving up some, because they started with $6 trillion, came down to $3.5 trillion, and now they've agreed in principle to $1.75 trillion. Because you negotiate to get what you can get. Some of y'all, you know, I grew up in Brownsville. We used to go to Belmont Market, and nobody was better negotiator than my mother. She would get a $10 pair of pants down to $5 and tell me to run, and they had the $5 in her hand before we went in the store, because that's all we had. So we understand that. What we don't understand is the two Democrats, Manchin and Sinema, that no matter what way the Democrats, moderate or progressive, go, they go another way. And what we don't understand is why you cannot revoke the filibuster that necessitates 10 votes from Republicans to pass anything. So we had a call, Zoom call, head of Urban League, head of NACP, head of National Association of Negro Women, me as head of NAN, 8 of us with Manchin this week, and jumped all over him. He can't explain why he can't go against the filibuster. And I said, let me tell you something, Senator Manchin. You said that you could draw up another bill other than Senate Bill 1, which is the first voting bill that was proposed, and that you could get a bipartisan support. You developed, you sat down with 7 other senators, including Senator Warnock of Georgia, and y'all came up with Freedom to Vote Act. It went before the Senate last week, and you couldn't get one Republican, not one. Like we say in church, no, not a one. Now, since no Republicans, we can go with your bill. You have got to go with changing the filibuster or doing a carve-out. Filibuster is not in the Constitution. Filibuster didn't start till the early 20th century. And there's been 161 times that they've carved out around the filibuster. They did it for judges, they've done it around budget, they've done it around other things. 161 times. You gonna tell me you can't carve out to preserve and protect our right to vote when you have states all over this country that are changing voting laws? You gonna carve this out, or we gonna keep raising what we got to raise until there's a carve out? We need Build Back Better. That's good. We need infrastructure. We need roads and highways. We need all that straight. We need climate change corrected. We need, most of the toxic dumps are in our neighborhoods. We have an overabundance of bad effects from the emissions, gas emissions and the like. But we also need the right to vote protected. Yes, sir. And we also need to deal with policing. And we're not going to stop. We're going to get Build Back Better. We're going to get voting rights. And we're going to get George Floyd. And if we don't, we're going to put some people in the Senate next year that'll give us what we want. That's what politics is all about. Go ahead and never tell me, well, Reverend, you ain't going to always get everything you want. That's politics. I said, that's true. And you ain't always going to be in Washington. Because that's politics, too. We all going to play politics. If your politics is to keep what you can from giving me, my politics is to keep you out the seat. Now, what do you like better, sitting in the seat or going home? Or giving us what we want, staying in Washington? You make the choice. Because we're going to organize and mobilize. Because we are people that just got the protection about a half a century ago. We've been in this country longer without a right to vote than with a right to vote. So we know how to get a right to vote. Because it wasn't until 1965 we had a Voting Rights Act. So we ain't forgot how to fight. You talking to some folk up in your office that ain't never fought for nothing. They are the ones that are the results of our fight. Always amazes me, Reverend Tune, we go meet with some of these corporate executives or these senators or congress people, and they call in their black aide. And their black aide come in with all the papers and got the little tilted nose up. Let me explain something to you, Reverend. And they start shuffling the papers and explaining stuff to me. And I take the paper and I said, let me explain something to you. You wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for folk like me marching and standing up. So you ought to be standing up with us. Otherwise, you may not be along yourself. I am not your problem, I'm your sponsor. I tell story all the time. I told that New Hope out there in Elizabeth, Reverend Bartley's church, that I was debating one of these self-described black conservatives. And I never forget, he was, Reverend Al, I don't agree with all this marching and mobilizing you do. Look at my resume. I went to the best schools. I've got the best affiliations. I've got the best references. I have gone and become a part of the right societies and fraternities. Look at my resume. Civil rights didn't write my resume. I earned all of these things. And I took his resume and I looked at it. I said, yeah, it is true. You went to right schools, right fraternities, right organizations you with, right references. And civil rights didn't write your resume. But civil rights made somebody read your resume. You ain't the first qualified Negro in America. There were Negroes smart before you. But until some unlettered, illiterate grandmas put their bodies on the line in Birmingham and Selma, they wouldn't open up the doors to those universities for you smart Negroes to go in. It was grandmas that never read a book that made them let you go to that Ivy League school. Don't forget how you got where you got. Some went to jail so you could go to college. Some went to their grave so you could have a big job in these corporations. And now you sitting up there with Negro amnesia, trying to forget how you got where you got. These folk didn't invite you here. We forced you there. And they roll you out like a lawn jockey. You know the lawn jockey up in front of the house holding up the lantern. Bunch of corporate or political lawn jockeys. That is why we got to keep the fight. Well, Reverend Al, what is Biden going to do? I don't know, but I know what I'm going to do. And I'm going to put enough heat that Biden and everybody else. Going to deal with voting, policing, and our economic rights. Let me tell you something. There is no president, good or bad, going to do but so much if we don't do what we're supposed to do. The only reason Johnson could get the Voting Rights Act through in 65 is there was a movement. Only reason he could get it through in 64, there was a movement. Don't be running around talking about what somebody gonna do for you. What you gonna make them do. What you gonna empower them to do. That is, you know, Dr. King used to say there were two types of leaders. There were thermometers and thermostats. 30th anniversary, NAN comes out of the thermostat tradition. Thermometer, Steffi Bartlett, tells you the temperature in the room. Thermometer in here tell you about 70 degrees in here. Thermostat changes the temperature in the room. National Action Network for 30 years has changed the temperature. We turned the heat up. We made folks sweat. We made folk uncomfortable. And I don't apologize for that. Now you need both. I'm not, like I said earlier now, I'm not for informal activism. That's one of the reasons I work with other national civil rights organizations here. Some negotiate and some of us raise hell, so they got a better climate to negotiate. They know I'm going in the room and say what I got to say. And I don't care who don't like it. And then they can, out of me telling them the heat is up, can try to get done what we trying to get done. That is, they do that. I learned that growing up in Brownsville. They always had a good cop and a bad cop. Bad cop will tell them will crack your head, bring you to jail, and call your mama in 2 weeks. You won't know where you are. Good cop will say, don't make him do that. Come on, come over here. You know, he's a little agitated. Just admit you stole the Baby Ruth candy bar at the supermarket. We can work this out. And you be done confessed to a crime because the good cop that gave you a better deal than the bad cop that done scared you half to death, and you ain't even stole the Baby Ruth, but you confessed it because the good cop done got you to confess something because this crazy cop done scared you half to death. Well, that is what we have, various levels of activism. The real gauge, the real way you can tell whether something is good or bad is the effectiveness of it. So when I look over these 30 years and we could say we got racial profiling laws in the state of New Jersey, and we made them sign consent decrees after the New Jersey 4, and we got the Eric Garner state law against police using the chokehold as law. And when we look at where we force major corporations to deal with their advertising budget with black news channels, all of the things that we've got done, all of the cartoons about me and tracksuits and all don't matter if we got the job done. Yes, sir. When we this year can see Chauvin went to jail for George Floyd, and we were at the front of that movement. You can sit around talking about all you want if we got stuff done. Eric Garner's cop got fired. They were not firing cops for chokehold. There's no change in the law. And when you run around with petty people that deal with trivial, they deal with style rather than substance. Got right column about my hairstyle. I don't care what style my hair is. If I got all of that done, let me do my hair the best way I can. I mean, imagine the guy, I ain't heard this in 30 years. The guy the other day gonna call me, so I'm doing an article on your hairstyle. I thought they was through with that in the 80s. I said, let me tell you something. You call up to the House of Justice, you call the downtown office, and you ought to talk to somebody up there. Because I am 67 years old. I ain't explaining to nobody how I do my hair. Now, maybe somebody up there in huddle will tell you in hip-hop language what I'm thinking. Because they can talk like that. I mean, we get irrational. Well, I heard so-and-so. Heard about what? Let us deal with what is going to impact what we're going through. And let us build movements based on the strategies that work. Brings me right into tomorrow, and I'll let you go. Tomorrow is Halloween. Now, there is different trains of thought of how Halloween started. Some say that it is All Hallows Eve, and it started with a Christian thing. Then others say it was a worship of satanic forces, and that it came out of a worship of paganism. And the hollow and the costumes was to worship and give some kind of ritual around demonic forces. So you got different people that give different historic references to the inception of Halloween. But however it was conceived, it has become part of the culture in this country, where little children go around door to door and knock on the door, ring the bell, depending on what is there, and says trick or treat. And you give them some candy or whatever, or some money, and they go on to the next door. Well, that did not work too well in my neighborhood growing up, because too many people were getting robbed and put stuff that did not make sense in folks' bag. But trick or treat was always the theme of the day. Some of y'all grown and still running around trick or treat. Some of y'all grown got a costume ready to put on tomorrow. And know that we won't know it's you because you got the costume on. But there is another basis of this, Steffi, and that is, you know, some of us put on costumes every day. And go downtown to work and act like we something we not. Some of y'all live in a costume. Some of y'all got a mask on all the time. All that anger and rage you mask. We're trying to act like you just going along to get along. And you take your rage out on us, because you can't take it out on who you angry at. Some of the basis of some of the domestic violence is that you come home and will do to your wife and children things that are abusive because you really are mad at your boss that you ain't got enough manhood to stand up and tell him something. But in my journey, I've learned that inherent in many tricks may be a treat. You know, life is not a straight line. I often say that when you die, if they give you a tombstone and they have your birthday dash death date, they should not have a straight line. It should be a crooked line. Crooked line. Because life ain't straight. Yeah. Life is full of ups and downs. Yes, sir. And if I have a tombstone, I don't know what they're going to do with me. They may burn me up and put me in a vase somewhere. But if I have a tombstone, I know I'm going to write it out, but that don't mean nothing. He's supposed to go to court and change your own right. But if I have a tombstone, I want a zigzag line. Because life wasn't straight from when I started to when I got. I went through ups and downs. Yes, sir. I went through hills and mountains. But I can tell you that every trick I went through, God made it a treat. if you go to the Bible, God would make things that appear to be a trick to him end up being a treat.
Yes, sir.
I think back, we're way in the beginning of the Bible. Abraham.
Yes, sir.
Abraham wanted a son. He had a son with the maidservant. Wife wanted her own child. Wife didn't forgave him, even though she permitted him to have the child.
Yes,
after he had it, she never forgave him. Tore up his family, brought harmony in the house. And God blessed Sarah with a child at an old age. And then it comes sacrifice time. And God said, I bless you. I changed your name from Abram to Abraham. I blessed you, made you the father of many nations. I blessed your wife's womb in her old age and gave her a child named Isaac. Brought peace back to your family. Brought harmony back. Put the other woman out and the child.
Yes, sir. Yes,
but now it's sacrifice time.
Yes, sir.
What do you mean? Well, every year they would go up every season and slay a lamb and lay it before God as a sacrifice. God said, but this time,
yes, sir.
I don't want no lamb. I want you to sacrifice your son.
Yes, sir.
I want you to kill Isaac, the apple to your eye, the miracle that I gave you.
Yes,
I want you to do that. And he tricked Isaac
Yes, sir.
into going up on the mountain. And as they went to a certain height on the mountain, Isaac looked at his daddy and said, Father,
Yes, sir.
it looked like there's some mistake here.
Yes, sir.
Because I see the fire, I see the wood,
What?
but I don't see the lamb that we're going to sacrifice. And he couldn't tell his son that he was the sacrifice. And the trick was he had to rope and bear and tie his son down and prepare to kill his own son. And he reached back and got the dagger to kill his own son.
Yes, sir.
On the way down on the trick he had done on his son.
Yes, sir.
An angel stopped and said, hold it, don't kill the boy. Here's your treat. God just didn't want your son. God wanted your obedience.
Yes, sir.
Started with a trick, ended up with a treat. Because you're obedient, God will increase your domain. Even the story of Jesus started with a trick. The whole trial of Herod, the whole trial that they sentenced Jesus to death, the whole trial where the disciples denied him. Even Peter denied him 3 times. The whole trial
Yes, sir.
was a trick.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Because it was a way to trick those that really didn't believe
Yes, sir.
into putting down and admitting that they didn't believe it. But the treat was
Yes,
on the 3rd morning.
Yes, sir.
He rose again. Sometimes my Halloween message is sometimes what looks like a treat, what looks like a trick could be a treat. Everybody that tricks you in life is because they was tricksters anyway. You know, I look back over my life, everybody that left me, left this organization, we end up with better folk anyway. Anybody that deceived me, they end up deceiving themselves. Anybody that cheated on me, they was cheating themselves. It felt like a trick, but it ended up a treat. So I'm going to get up in the morning. I got a list of folk that mess with me in life. I'm going to call them early tomorrow and say trick or treat. 30 years later, I'm still here, trick or treat. You talked about me like a dog, but God brought me through, trick or treat. You thought I wouldn't make it. You thought I couldn't take it, trick or treat. You didn't do nothing but trick yourself. There is a God that said, I'll take nothing and make something happen. There is a God that say you may trick me, but you can't trick God. And if I hold to his hand, God's unchanging hand, he'll make a way out of no way. Trick or treat. I ain't looking for no candy. I got something sweeter than candy. He's sweet, I know. He's sweet, I know. I'll tell the world, wherever I go, I found a Savior that's sweet, I know. Trick or treat, trick or treat, trick or treat. He's sweet, I know. He's sweet, I know. He's sweet, I know. Yeah. Oh, storm clouds, they rise. Storm wind may blow. Oh, but I'll tell the world, wherever I go, I'll tell them that I found a Savior, and He's sweet, I know. Just a minute, somebody going through something, somebody been facing some tricks in their life, somebody depressed and stressed. But I come to tell you, don't worry about the tricks. There's a treat in the trick. If you hold on and bleed, sometime God gotta let you go through something so you can get focused back on what you ought to be doing. Sometimes what you think was to hurt your feelings was to separate you from foolishness and to get you off by yourself. You are not an accident. Sometimes God sets you aside so as others run around putting on a costume, you look in the mirror and know that you are designed by God to serve a purpose, and He's sweet, I know. And He's sweet, I know. Yeah, He's so sweet, I know. Every now and then, storm clouds, they're gonna rise. Oh, strong winds, they're gonna blow. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Singing like you mean it. Singing like you mean it. Everybody now. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. I'm opening the doors of the movement. There may be someone here today. You hear us on the radio, you see our activities on television, but you never joined the National Action Network. If you're here today and want to join on this 30th anniversary weekend, all you gotta do is come down either aisle to me, and we'll sign you up this morning. You that are listening on radio or watching on some of our platforms, all you have to do is call, and we can sign you in the National Action Network on the phone at 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, or go online to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. But if you're here and not a member, come to me right now and let's make you a member on this 30th anniversary weekend. Everybody sing it. Come on. Everybody sing. Everybody sing it. That's right. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. We want justice. Got to have justice. We want justice. Everybody sing it. Everybody sing. Everybody sing it. One last time, y'all. One last time, y'all. One last time, y'all. Hey. Glad for you that have come. Let me say, as we prepare to go off the air, you that want to, I think we've got maybe 100 seats that we've expanded. You that want to be at Carnegie Hall with us, free, on Monday night for the anniversary, Vice President, others will be there. Call right now. You can get your tickets today or tomorrow. We're already capacity, but if you've got your vaccine papers, you can be our guest. We've extended it by that you can call right now, 1-877-626-4651, 1-877-626-4651, and they will tell you on the phone what you need to do and to get your ticket. 1-877-626-4651, or go online to www.nationalactionnetwork.net. All right, let's get ready to raise our offering. Gonna raise our offering. You in Radio Land, we're going off, but y'all can use the same numbers to give in the offering. All right. Let us raise our offering quickly. We're moving quickly. Moving quickly. I'm looking for everybody on Monday night. A couple folks told me they're buying outfits. They ain't never been to Carnegie Hall. That's good. And get there early so you can show your little vaccination card and get on in. One lady told me, I've been a member for 20 years. And why I gotta show vaccination? Because we don't own Carnegie Hall. I've been flying 50 years, but I gotta go through the metal detector at the airport. Hello. I can't go there and tell them, you know, I've been flying since I was a 10-year-old boy preacher. They say, good, empty your pockets and go right through here. All right, I need to raise some money. God blessed us 30 years. I'm happy about it. 30 years ago, 30 years ago, Sister Carr, there was a guy, big bush, huge bush. Afro they call it, dark hair. 30 years ago, I had long cascade hair. Now, my line done went back, but my hair still cascade. I still got my hair down my neck. My front line back, but I'm still there. But the Afro guy with the big bush. I didn't call no names. What was that song? Could it be that was all so simple? Or has time rewritten every line? The way we were. See, I was nice to him on the radio. I had to get him one time. All right, let's raise our offering. I need about 10 folk, about 10 that can give $100 or more to come quickly. I need about 10 100s. The mayor of Queensbridge Houses, Mayor Rodney Jones, $100. Minister Winston Gilchrist, $100. Guardians, $100. Shanita, $180. Thank you. $180. Reverend DeVest Toon, $100.
All right. Brother Wayne.
Brother Wayne, $100. Oh, that's Rachel. Rachel Norley, $100. Louis Papa, $120. Who? Diane? Diana, $100. I don't know why all these Negroes live out in the suburbs, put on a Harlem hat and come here and we don't know who they are. I thought that was somebody from 141st Street. Got a Harlem hat, driving her designer car across the George Washington to put on a Harlem hat so we can relate. Give me some 50s, 50s, 50s. Brother David, $50. Brother Dawson, $50. Don Jones, board member, $50. Alvin Ponder, $50. Sister Lillian Doctor, $50. Sister Mary, Valtia Mary, $50. Minister Carolyn, $50. Reverend Bartley's giving $100. Evelyn Terry, Sister Evelyn Terry, $100. $50. 20s, 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 20s. Anthony Allen is the head of our Houston chapter. He's on national board. Give him $200. Anthony Allen in town.